You are using AI wrong. And I can prove it in one sentence. When was the last time you explained your own project to an AI that you have been working for months? That's the problem. Every session you start from zero. Every task you copy and paste. Every time you need help, you stop what you are doing, context switch, and babysit a chat window instead of actually building. There is a completely different way to use AI. One where it lives inside your terminal, already know your entire code base, and can be automated to do things a browser chat could never even dream of. That is what this video is. Let's get into it. So let me show you exactly how this works, and I promise the setup takes less time than explaining your whole project to an AI. We are going to use two tools today, Google's Gemini CLI and Anthropic's Claude Code. Let's start with Gemini CLI because it has generous free tier, and then we will look at the Claude Code. Both run right in your terminal. And by the end of this video, you are going to use them together in a way that will make your current workflow feel embarrassingly slow. You need Node.js installed. If you don't have it, just grab it from the nodejs.org, then run the npm commands. First time you run it, walk you through one-time login, just authenticate it. Now, before I show you what this can do, I want you to quickly explain why this is different from what you are already doing. Because if you think it is just a fancier way to type prompts, you are going to miss the whole point. The biggest problem with a browser-based AI is not the UI, it is context window. Every single chat session, the AI wake up knowing absolutely nothing about your project, your stack, your conventions, nothing. You become the AI's memory, and that is an exhausting, expensive job. CLIs solve this with context files. Let me show you exactly what I mean. Let's start with a scenario that every developer has lived through. You are dropped into an unfamiliar codebase, new job, open source project, or your own code from 6 months ago, which honestly feels exactly the same. Your own code from 6 months ago, it's different when you have no memory of writing it. First, I run Gemini from the shell and authenticate with my Google account. Then I use slash model to pick the one I want. I am going with Gemini 3.1 Pro Preview. This is the latest one available. A quick note, if preview models are not showing up for you, just head into settings and enable them from there. Cool, basic setup is done. Now I navigate to my project and launch the CLI. I am now in a live Gemini session. It has access to every file in this directory. Watch what happens when I run this one command. This scans entire project and generates a context file, a GEMINI.md, that summarizes the structure, the tech stack, the conventions. From this point forward, every time I open a session in this project, the AI reads that file. It already knows who it is working with. Let me ask it a couple of real world questions about the code base. No copy pasting, no explaining the stack. It knows I did not paste a single file. I did not explain that stack. It just knows. Now let's dig deeper with a new question. Here it is. That is the difference. This is not a generic AI answer. It is specific to this repo, this file, this implementation. That is what context actually means. Now I am going to close this session, open a completely fresh one, and ask something without giving it manual context. It is just to prove memory actually persists. Real code-based intelligence, still no hand holding. This is what you have been missing. A couple of other commands worth knowing while we are here. Slash stats. This shows you the model usage for the current session. Useful if you are keeping an eye on consumption. And slash memory lets you update, refresh, or delete the context file without having to open and edit it manually. It is essentially a live editor for your Gemini.md. And here is the thing that makes this even better. These commands are not Gemini specific. The same slash commands work across most AI CLIs. You don't have to learn a completely new set of shortcuts every time you switch tools. And since that context file is just plain markdown, you can edit it directly anytime. Add your own permanent rules like always use fast API, match existing test pattern, never use global variables. Commit it to your repo and the whole team benefits. If you want to switch from Gemini to Claude for a specific task, just point Claude at the same file. Zero re-explaining. Alright, so now you never have to explain the project again. But what about when things break? Let me show you something that genuinely felt like a cheat code the first time I used it. Picture this, a Docker container is crashing. In the old world, you would copy the log from the container and paste it into a chat window and hope you got the right lines. In this world, watch this. The first command sends everything, std out, std error, all of it directly to Gemini. No copying, no pasting, no guessing which line matters. This is called piping. It is one of the most fundamental thing you can do it in terminal. Take the output of one program and send it to another. In this scenario, instead of sending logs to a file, you are sending them to a powerful AI model. Cool. Gemini comes back, and this is where it gets insane. It did not just read the error message. It actually opened my Docker Compose file, verified the credentials in .env and Docker Compose file, spotted a mismatch, and handed me the exact fix. It diagnosed the problem and found the evidence, all from one command, start to finish, that under 30 seconds. And you never left the terminal. This is what composability means, and it is completely impossible in a browser. You cannot pipe a file into a chat window. You cannot chain outputs. Every single thing has to be manual. So we have handled code understanding and debugging, both without leaving the terminal. But here is where it gets interesting, because these tools are not just for code. Let me show you a workflow that pays both of them together like a proper pipeline. This is where it gets genuinely wild, because now we are going to use both tools together as a pipeline. One AI does the research and the other does the writing. You orchestrate the whole thing from single command. Let's say you want a blog post on the top AI agents right now, current, accurate, actually useful. Start with Gemini. It has a live web access. Gemini hits the web and come back with a clean, structured breakdown. Instead of copying that and pasting it somewhere, we pipe it directly into Claude and write the output straight to a file. Boom! You now have a draft blog post sitting in your project direct. One command, no browser, no clipboard, just two AIs handing work to each other while you watch. Now open Claude interactively to refine it. See, it is able to update the blog as I ask without giving any context. That is the full loop. Gemini for live research, Claude for structured writing. Everything I lands in a file you can actually ship. This is what automation looks like when AI lives in your terminal instead of a tab. Now, everything I have shown you so far is just the surface, because Claude specifically has a whole hidden layer that most people never even find, and some of this is genuinely going to make your jaw drop. Before we wrap, there is an entire layer of Claude Code's capabilities that most people never even discover. And once you know this exists, you will never look at it in the same way. Agents. Build your own custom AI assistant for your specific workflows. A code review agent, a documentation agent, a content agent that writes in your exact voice. Define it once, use it with a command. Your own personal AI team on demand. Slash Chrome, Claude breaks out of the terminal entirely, point it at the web, and it can research topics, fill out forms, navigate pages, even find and apply to the jobs that match your resume, while you guide it in real time, a copilot for the entire internet. Skills. Teach Claude new abilities custom built for what you do every day. Exactly like leveling up a character, except it actually makes you more productive. Slash IDE. Deep integration directly in your editor. It is not a plugin that auto completes a line. It is like a senior engineer watching every file, ready to jump in the second you need. And here is where it all connects. Chain all this together. Claude write a new feature and commits the code. The commit automatically triggers the Gemini to generate the full test suite for everything that was just written. No human in the loop, no manual steps. You have built an AI development pipeline that runs while you sleep. Okay, I have been hyping this up and this deserves the hype, but I also want to be straight with you because not everything is better in the terminal. Here is the honest breakdown. Look, I am not going to tell you to never open a browser again. Web UIs are genuinely better for some things. Uploading image, open-ended brainstorming, quick exploring a new model with no setup. For the low stakes, the browser is fast and frictionless. But CLIs win on everything that scales. Speed, hands never leave the keyboard. Context, your files are already there. Automation, composable by design. And cost visibility, slash status or slash cost commands inside a session show you exactly what's being consumed in real time. The mental model is simple. Web UI for a notepad. CLI for anything that happens more than once. One trap to avoid. Don't use the CLI as a fancier way to do same copy paste things. If you are running one shot -p commands with everything pasted in the flag, you are using the Formula 1 car to do grocery runs. The real power is in the session, multi-run conversations, building context across questions, letting the model ask clarify questions back. That is where the compounding value lives. So that is the full picture. Here is the honest summary. The tools have not changed. What changes is where they live and how they connect to your actual work. When AI is in a browser, you manage it. When AI is in your terminal, it works for you. That is the whole shift, and it is bigger than it sounds. The setup takes 5 minutes, but the payoff is permanent. You will stop re explaining things, stop copying and pasting, and start building workflows that run themselves. We have only scratched the surface of what's possible when you combine the two most powerful tools you have, AI and command line.